Now let me welcome on to the field of 68 Creighton head coach Greg McDermott. Greg, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on you. You got 4 votes in the preseason poll to win the Big East. Marquette brings 8 people back from a team that won the Big East regular season and Big East tournament. UConn brings back a bunch of important pieces from a team that won a national title. You feel a little bit of pressure there?
I don't know what some of those guys were doing. They must have handed it off to a staffer here, pick a team or draw one out of a hat. But, we have 3 really good players back, so I understand it. And then we've added a couple of good pieces. But, this league, especially the top of the league, is as good as it's been.
Last time I saw him, you know what he was doing?
Going down a water slide.
No. He was tearing it up on the blackjack table.
Ooh.
And bankrolling his wife, Teresa.
Oh, there you go. Speaking of bankroll.
That's right. He was bankrolling his wife, Teresa, who was getting slaughtered at the tables early. And then she made a comeback, though, right?
That night was called the comeback night.
That was the comeback night.
Everything that happened before that, we made a little trek back.
I've gone through that before, the losing process. I haven't quite figured out how to make it back yet.
Yeah.
So if you have any pointers on how to do that, I would love it.
It takes a little bit of luck. A lot of luck, actually.
So I saw your team, obviously, against some competition that we won't talk about, but down in the Bahamas. How important was it, though, to get that experience? And, again, with a team that brings back a lot but has some key new faces, the practices and just the camaraderie of hanging out.
I mean, the most important thing, number one, nobody got hurt. That's what you want to get. You want to get through that situation and make sure you're good. But, while I think Alexander and Shireman and Kalkbrenner could take it or leave it, obviously it's a great trip as a vacation. But for guys like, Stephen Ashworth, Mason Miller, Isaac Trout, Jason Green, some of our freshmen, Jonathan Lawson, guys that hadn't played in our system before, those 10 practices are so invaluable. And then just to be able to go out, put the uniform on and play a little bit, it was really good. So, and I think every team's chemistry is different, and that's developed over time. And I think that accelerates the process, being able to spend that time together away from home.
You basically have 3 point guards on the roster this year. How are you going to kind of navigate the point guard designation? Really, it's a point of pride for a lot of guys.
It's fortunately in our starting lineup, really, Trey, Baylor, and Stephen can all initiate offense, and that's quite a luxury to have. I was, frankly, Rob, concerned at the start with Stephen and Trey. Am I going to have to stick my nose in and really kind of dictate, all right, now, Trey, you're going to move on the ball. Stephen, you're going to slide off, and then we'll move it back later. But it's just happened organically. They play off each other so well. They both understand how to play with the ball. Stephen, for a guy that's played point most of his life, really understands how to play off the ball, when to stay away, when to space. And he's such a great shooter that you put him in tag situations with Kalkbrenner and Trey in a ball screen. You have to account for him 6 feet behind the line. So it's really happened. It's been easier than I probably would have anticipated. And all 3 of them are incredibly unselfish. And when your best players are that way, it's pretty easy to have it trickle through the rest of your program.
How much fun are you going to have scheming up stuff for Baylor and Ashworth to run off the screens? Like, I'm just envisioning remember Mitchell Ballack days? He would be taking like 35 players off a pin.
No, but
Ethan Rogge stepping into 40-footers.
Ballack to shoot more.
Right.
You didn't get him enough shots.
He's back as a GA.
Is he?
Yeah, he is, actually. So it's great to have him back. But, offensively, we have the opportunities and versatility of this group is endless. There's a lot of things that we can do when you have that many guys that can handle the ball and that many guys that can shoot it. Now, defensively, I'm going to spend
I was getting there.
I'm going to have to spend some time thinking about some things on that end too, because we're just not quite where we were last year, and I think our ceiling's going to be determined on how much growth we can make on that end of the floor.
Yeah, poor Ryan Kalkbrenner. He may have a little bit of pressure on him defensively.
It's coming at him. Yeah,
poor guy.
We're going to send him his way, but he really gets it. He understands it. He wants to prove that he can switch some screens and stay in front of guards. That's part of the next step for him as he prepares for a professional career, and we'll do a little bit more of that than we have in the past. But I really like this group. They've been a joy to coach.
What about the 4-man spot? That's the key question, isn't it, with your team going into the year? What does that look like right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's different. Arthur Kaluma certainly brought a certain skill set, physicality defensively and rebounding that we're going to have to figure out a way to replace. But Mason Miller, Isaac Trout are high-level three-point shooters, so they provide maybe some spacing and some gravity that maybe Arthur didn't demand that much. and now they're not going to beat people off the dribble like Arthur did. That's not their game right now, but they do other things. And unfortunately, Jason Green broke his hand. He's out 4 to 6 weeks, and he was making some good progress. He's the best of the three of them defensively, but he'll be back around the first of the year. But, those two understand their spot. They understand their role, and their teammates understand what they're good at. And if they're open and they're flying to that corner, we're going to get them as many threes as we can. Not many teams have 5 good defenders, so the bad defender has to guard somebody. Yeah. So, we've got to pick on that guy a little bit. And I think Mason and Isaac, with their ability to shoot it, certainly afford us the opportunity to do that.
With the way that last season ended, the controversial foul, I'm not going to ask you whether or not you thought it was a foul. I'm not going to put you on the spot like that.
Don't want to get him fined late.
He's the kind of guy that would do that.
I would.
I'm a gentleman.
You already know how I feel about it.
No comment.
So when you're that close to reaching a goal, how has that kind of fueled the offseason for you guys?
Yeah, I think we as coaches, if you're going to be in this business very long, you better not look in the rearview mirror very long at any point in your career, whether it's a game or practice. Like, you have to get past it because you have to get your attention to what the task at hand that particular day. So, we celebrated it as a group once the sting wore off because it was an incredible run with a relatively young team for the most part. And then some of the pieces left and we added new pieces, and then you just kind of shift your focus on what we have to do to try to get back there this year. And I think the good news is it's coach speak. I think when players hear the importance of one possession, but I really think Trey and Baylor and Kalk, when I say it now in practice, they're looking at the other guys like, hey,
we get it now.
He's right.
Right.
Like, any possession can totally change the outcome of a game. So we've got to give it our best shot. So I think the leadership in our program has really embraced that, and the consistency. I was just telling my staff yesterday, like, we really haven't had a bad practice. Like, we've had some that are better than others, but I haven't walked away from one like today was worthless. And usually you have some of those, and I think in large part that's because of Trey and Ryan and Baylor and their leadership.
When you look back on a run like that, how do you balance the idea that we accomplished something? You should celebrate making the Elite Eight, right? With the ultimate goal is to win a national championship.
Right.
How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, it was tricky when you're in the moment. I mean, it's no different than grinding through the Big East schedule. You play Wednesday and you got to get ready for the next one. So you don't really have a lot of time to enjoy it while it's going on. Now, we were fortunate. We had a great fan following in Denver and then another one in Louisville. So they got to celebrate with their families and their friends after the game. A few years ago when we were in the Sweet 16 in Indy, they celebrated with nobody because of COVID. So it was that part was fun, but our guys got past the disappointment, I think, relatively quickly. And again, I think they understood that, the last play was the last play, but there were some other opportunities for us to do some things that we didn't quite get done in that game. But we also lost to a really good team. Mm-hmm. So you also have to tip your hat to San Diego State at the same time.
So I know you love your son, Doug, but how many more games are you going to get out to the Spurs this year? Because let's face it, like, the main attraction is no longer Doug McDermott when you go.
Yeah, no, it's not. I got to go watch Victor play a little bit. So, no, it's hard to believe it's 10 years, 10 years.
Amazing.
We sat in here in the first Big East Media Day 11 years ago when he was going to be a senior. It's hard to believe that time has passed.
Is he going to get married soon? I mean, come on. What are we doing
he's
here?
He's probably getting the same question from her about that, the girl he's been dating, Anna, for a while. But, no, I'm going to get down. I'm going to go to the opener tomorrow. And last year I got to 0 games for the first time.
0?
Yeah, just the schedules didn't work out. And but you try to get to a few. He wants to play for a few more years. Yeah. So. But proud of what he's doing and how he's gone about his career, and just hope he, corner room in a nursing home someday. That's what I'm asking.
He'll take care of you. Listen,
I got to take care of him so he takes care of me.
Yeah. Well, now listen, you guys they're going to be out there golfing, and I don't know how many more years Max got. We already aged him. I called him 60 when he's 58. So I'm already on the shit list for that.
Well, maybe, yeah. You maybe should look in the mirror at your hair than look in the mirror at my hair. They're a little bit different. I got a little
great.
Hey,
I got a
Greg,
little more
let's just
of it,
say
and
it's a good thing.
little bit darker.
It's a good thing the camera's on this side and not coming from up there, because then Goodman would look just
Right.
a little bit older with the
That's right.
popping up over there. Listen, Greg McDermott, Creighton head coach, always a pleasure. Good to see you.
Always great to see you guys.